Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle, me, in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. Another book review for book Kyron 2000, Channeling Kyron. What is with all these psychics or mediums, people on the internet who seem to be channeling all kinds of entities? What do you think? What about those messages those psychics and mediums are delivering to so many people who watch that material? What is in those messages? Should we be paying attention to what the beings from the invisible reality say? And what are they trying to say? And what does all that have to do with the metaphysics? More than physics. Christianity. The Bible. The New Age. The Rainbow Agenda. World War III. The New World Order. Secret societies. So I decided, after watching some more Kyron videos and reading some more from the book, to do another one, Series 123, Part 2. I've been paying attention to the raw material. We'll be looking into this some more. Channeling Ra. And of course, the other ones I've been doing, Jane Roberts, Channeling Seth. Got a couple of these books. Quite fascinating. You can go on the internet, find Jane Roberts and Seth. Watch the videos. But you have to have a discerning mind. You can't just listen to the material and say, huh, that's the truth. Could we be deceived? Are we being deceived? Some more Jane Roberts books. I have some more coming in the mail, 2 more. And then we have one of the most popular one out there, Esther Hicks, Manifest Your Desire. We'll be doing another one on this, maybe 2, 3. Just flip it open and see where it takes me. Page 241. As you create scenarios that make you feel good, you activate a bright vibration that does feel good. And then the law of attraction matches that vibration. There is nothing more important than you feel good. There is nothing better than creating images that cause you to feel good. My problem is all this channeled materials teaches people that they can feel good. Do what you want. But they also add the old way, the old religions, the old thinking are outdated. You don't need them anymore. But you can feel good. Create images in your mind. And by the way, don't pay attention to the fact the Syrians over there in the Middle East are being bombed to smithereens. My phone rang. I had to go answer it. And also, over there in the G20, with President Donald Trump and many of the other world leaders, there are some serious protesting going on in Hamburg, Germany. And President Donald Trump continues with his tweets, which seems to cause a lot of interest and commotion and distraction. And they are insightful. So I think the world is being taken that way. They want to keep everybody at the edge of their seat, pointing fingers at each other. So anyways, what does he say? Just talking about some world events for a second. Trump asserts that a hot topic among the world's powerful figures was the disgraceful response to Hillary Clinton's Hillary Clinton's campaign manager to the phishing attack that led to thousands of campaign emails being leaked last year. Trump also compared to conflate that attack with a separate hack that targeted the Democratic National Committee. Trump also says, everyone here is talking about why John Podesta refused to give the DNC server to the FBI and the CIA. Trump tweeted, disgraceful. So then you talk about stuff like this. Channeled material. I just got this in the mail today. A Beginner's Guide to Creating Reality, an introduction to Ramtha and his teachings. So Ramtha is another one of those beings being channeled by this lady. Almost forgot her name, J.Z. Knight. So this ought to be an interesting book to read and add to my video collection of the channeled material. I got this one in the mail today. A magical approach. And this is another one of the Jane Roberts I just showed you. So I have one more in the mail. This ought to be another interesting one. Seth speaks about the art of creative living and creating reality. So I'm getting some of the common denominators here. And then with the Donald Trump and all this other stuff in the news, Syria, couple top headline news about Germany voting to legalize gay marriage, and another press release detailing that gay rights and all those activities have never had a further higher level approval rating than they do now. So that, again, it's creating reality. Still reading this book, haven't made a video on it yet. Tuning in. A journalist, 6 trance channelers, and messages from the other side. And then, of course, I just finished one video on another video, part 5, for Barbara Marciniak, channeling the Palladians. And I just watched another video Another one I was paying attention to was Natalie Glasson channeling Melchior, who was talking about, you can see the notes I take. I got 13 pages of notes on that one video. But apparently this Melchior galactic energy, a logos, I guess one step down from God himself, leader of all the angels maybe. Anyways, he says that in September, getting off to a slow start on my speaking, July, August, and September, there will be 3 galactic waves coming to Earth. And you are supposed to think about them, imagine them as rays of light. And at the beginning of September, July, August, and September, as energies that hit the Earth, and meditate and see those rays of energies coming up through your root chakra on the lower end of your torso, up through your body, helping you to see reality in a new way and prepare for some kind of an ascension or transformation. So the channeling thing is taking a very interesting path. And one more bit of news for my opening on this video is I got another document in the mail today from Tex Mars. So you got beings from the other side channeling through psychics and mediums and other well-known people, popular people on the internet, with tens of thousands and if not even a million hits collectively. So a lot of people are into this channeled message, the magical approach. Seth speaks about the art of creative living, the beginning guide to creating reality, Ramtha. Manifesting your desires, Esther Hicks. The raw materials saying a lot of the same thing. And I've been making videos on Edgar Casey. Mysticism and Judaism. The Kabbalah, secret societies. Secret doctrine, Helena Blavatsky. The Bible. And many other topics. Communism. Rosicrucianism, witchcraft. So anyways, all that is spiritual material concerning earth, prophecies, Armageddon, apocalypse, earth changes, pole shifting, terror activities, World War III threats, global warming, biodiversity, droughts, famine, crop failures, earthquakes, tsunamis, and so much more. It's enough to boggle the mind. So I got this in the mail from Tex Mars, July 2017. The Jewish Messiah, and this is important and related to Kyron, who controls the United Nations, who controls the banks, the secret societies. What is Zionism? Who are the Illuminati? What does it have to do with all the Freemasonic lodges all over the world? Secret societies, rainbow agenda, insane, sinister, and sick TV programming. News in the newspapers, magazines, movies, radio talk shows. Somebody's trying to turn planet Earth into a huge sin bin. Why? Is that Luciferianism? Satanism? So anyways, Tex Mars says the Jewish Messiah will be the Antichrist. The Jewish Messiah. Remember in 1666, if you go look up my video from the Encyclopedia Judaica, they had a Messiah come from the Jewish people in the Middle East, over in Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe. Getting off to a slow start here, mistaking things. Called Sabbatai Zevi, who's also mentioned in Rabbi Marvin Antelman's books, who created Sabbatianism and Frankist, which is a kind of a religion where their philosophy is they have a new set of commandments, which are opposite to Moses' 10 commandments delivered from God. So instead of thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not do adultery, it's just the opposite. You shall do adultery, be perverted, decadent. You shall steal, you shall kill. And George Bush Sr. said, out of chaos and anarchy will come the New World Order. So again, the proof is there in my videos and many other people's videos that there are forces operating behind the scenes on Earth that seem to want to cause a lot of suffering and murder and killing to we humans. It's been going on for thousands of years. I know people say that. But let's see what Tex Mars says in this thing I got in the mail, Power of Prophecy. The Bible speaks of many antichrists to come, but one will be especially significant. He will prove to be the beast, the evil and deceitful man identified by the scriptures as having that dreadful number 666. The Bible calls him the mystery of iniquity. There can be little doubt that this despicable man is alive today. So is the Messiah, this Antichrist, alive today? It seems so, if we pay attention to world events. He will very soon burst onto the world scene. Could be today. Could be at the G20 summit right now. Could be next week, Monday. The true Christian will be able to identify him. We will know him because the Bible gives us prophetic understanding. The Bible reveals him by the code word, the destroyer. The destroyer, according to God's eye-opening scriptures, will be a liar. According to God's eye-opening scriptures, he will be a liar who denies that Jesus is the Christ. He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son. Moreover, we know that the Antichrist will be a Jew. And the Bible provides us with at least 55 proofs of this. These 55 proofs are found in my revealing book, The Destroyer. The Antichrist is at hand. So the reason I bring this up, why I say it's pertinent and relevant to the channeled materials, because these are beings from the other side. Are they talking about an Antichrist? What do they say about religion? What's the common denominator that I've been discovering? So you can go on Tex Mars' website and order this book. And if you do, he will send you these monthly little pamphlets, several pages, with these articles in them. And they are interesting. So with that said, I'm going to try to read from the Kyron 2000. Another interesting observation is there's a lot of books published by the Kyron publishing people in many different languages. No small things. All over the world, these books are being marketed to people. I can understand when people might be watching my videos and others, especially mine with the title of Freemasonry and Satanism, why when I go off into this channeled material, it may seem like it's getting off the path to finding out what the heck is going on in the world, which is what I set out to do in 2005 when I noticed certain things. And we all noticed, of course, 9/11. And a lot of the world has been under the influence of beguilement. All these temptations and activities on the planets, street parties in downtowns, Friday, 5 o'clock, drum circles, TV programming, and so much more. Football season. So we people here in the USA, and I'm sure in a lot of other places over in Europe, everybody is being distracted, is under the influence of beguilement. So they're not paying attention to all this other worldly activity. They see it on the news sometimes, like 911, or information about bombings and terrorist activities in Iraq, and other places all over the world, shootings, bombings. But they don't see it as one huge plan to change the world, to change our paradigm. And they don't see that these evil influences, these Zionist, Illuminati, secret societies, even in cahoots with the Vatican, which seems to be taken over, if it was ever actually a good institution. Apparently there were some popes out there that have written many documents on exposing a lot of these activities, even exposing the things about blood libel of the Jewish people, where they were caught so many times, not all Jewish people, of abducting and sacrificing young children in very horrific ways during Passover, their holidays, and needing the blood and whatever to make atonement and to seek repentance. And apparently it was the only path they could find, or the path they thought they had to do, to be able to get the Palestinians land and create the state of Israel, to return to their long-lost homeland from thousands of years ago. Some kind of an appeasement to some kind of God being. So when you're reading, and I'm reading, the channeled material, whether it is Abraham or Seth or Kyron, Buddha, and many others, let me tell you, I've been looking into this. It's quite extensive. Archangels, Metatron, in the Jewish mysticism book. So that's why I think this channeled material is extremely important. Not even of interest. It's something we should look at, but extremely important. So I'm going to just take a look at some of the stuff I read and share my thoughts, and hopefully you'll come away with the same feelings that, oh my, this is a little concerning. What does it all mean? So page 325, spiritual, here we go, communicating with the spiritual beings, communication through prophecies and channeling. So they're putting prophecies, and we've had prophets documented throughout history. And even Jesus said to the Jewish people back then, "Ye are the killers of your prophets." So I suppose you could almost call a channeler, the people who are doing it today, prophets. That's what they would have been called years ago. And if that's the case, the channelers feeding information from the other side that probably wasn't received well, wasn't what the people at that time who controlled the world wanted to hear, or at least that portion of the world, well, they would be killed. I think Joan of Arc, not quite exactly remembering the details, but she helped her, I think it was Spain, defeat an enemy because of her channeled material, her visions or information she received. So after they won, though, she was accused of probably being of witchcraft. So what does it say here? There were many events throughout history of humankind that planted the seeds for the gathering of indigenous elders and the unification of all peoples. Remember, we're talking about a new age and a one world order, one world government, one world treasury, one world religion. And so when it says here, the unification of all peoples, my alarm bells go off. There have been recent channelings and prophecies as well as those that have been around for more than 1,000+ years, which confirm that this is the time for the gathering of elders to occur. This is the time for councils to help bring love, harmony, and peace to this world. So is that beguilement? Is that a promise? Is that a deception? They tell you what you want to hear, but when you, just like when you go shopping for a car or something on sale at some huge store, and you read the advertisement or see it on TV or the radio, you rush on down there, but when you get there, they say they're sorry. It's been sold. But we have another option. Beguilement. Deception. So apparently these gathering of elders from all over the world, and a promise here of love, harmony, and peace in this world. There is a subtle cry for help around this planet. There is a subtle cry for help around the planet. Well, who caused that cry for help? Who's causing all the suffering? To bring about the truths that have been hidden throughout the ages. The truths hidden throughout the ages. Who's been hiding these truths hidden throughout the ages? Who owns the media right now? The radio, the TV programming. The same people who cause the problems. But they don't want you to know that. The indigenous people have been on this planet for many thousands of years and know how to connect and live in harmony with Mother Earth. Well, that's New Agey if I ever heard it. And keep open the conduit to spirit. Keep open the conduit to spirit. Each sentence right here is loaded if you think about it. Keep open the conduit of spirit. Well, Rabbi Marvin Antelman, the leader for the Jewish Congress for the entire United States, who wrote the 2 books to eliminate the opate. Opate means you're praying and praying to the God so that you receive help and comfort. Opate is like a drug, opium. And so praying and believing God does answer prayers and gives comfort to people who get lost, who get dizzy because they don't know what to think anymore. So you pray and you get comfort, the opate. That's a conduit to spirit. That's my point. But they don't want you to have that conduit to spirit. They want you to have this conduit to spirit. And you're going to get love, harmony, and peace to the world. And remember, the United Nations with the meditation room and other symbols appears to be into the occult and also seemingly controlled by the Illuminati, communist and Zionist Jewish types, not all Jewish people. And of course a lot of people who call themselves Christians and other religions who for the sake of power, money, and perversion are into this system with all the secret societies, have turned against the rest of us. It's the decent people out there in the world that are in trouble, and largely because of their own ignorance and not thinking about this stuff, knowing that they have power. The Western world has lost this connection. So you got the Orient, the Eastern world, and this side of Jerusalem, Italy, Greece, Germany, France, Spain, England, the United States, Canada, where the Western world has lost this connection. I don't think we'd lost this connection. I think it's taken them a lot of years of mind control. And back in the 1920s, they had communist hearings that they found testimony from communist people themselves that they were going to infiltrate all the systems of our world and change our thinking. And part of that was the eradication of belief in Jesus, Christianity, and apparently, as we've seen in the Middle East, the eradication of the Islamic people's religion, Islam, and their belief in the prophet Muhammad. And apparently it's going to include even the Indians and the Chinese, Buddhism, Hinduism, and other religions of the world. There is one God in the world and one spiritual realm, although it might encompass many dimensions, separated maybe by the way people think, good people here and evil people there. But a lot of people don't want to believe in that world. But it says it right here. Channeled by the entity Kyron through Lee Carroll. All right. The Western world has lost this connection. But many people are coming to an awareness that this cannot go on much longer. We must take action, for the answer is on this planet. Many indigenous peoples have carried prophecies and visions down through the ages that tell us that this is the time for a reunification of all peoples in wisdom and harmony with Mother Earth and among themselves. Would you say that is a new world order? And from what we've seen right now, the ends justify the means. 9/11 and the entire complete destruction of all the people in the Middle East, and also World War I and World War II. So even in the Western world, they've caused world wars, and so they're trying to bring about this harmony with Mother Earth and among themselves. So if the Earth does have a consciousness, and it could well be, I believe there's a God world, and when we pray it works. There's a spirit world, ghosts, angels, demons, beings, whatever you want to call them. And a lot of that information has been transferred into terms like UFOs, aliens, reptilians, gray aliens, archons, watchers, avians, even bird being, insectoids. So is there a possibility of other dimensions and other kinds of beings? I believe absolutely. But I don't think we're getting anything close to the truth on the situation. This wisdom went underground when the white man arrived on the shores of many lands. So I thought that was quite a target there. They're blaming all of this on the white man. I don't think the Middle East with Jesus and Mary, and that wasn't their name. That's just a translation into English. But I don't believe they were white. I don't think Genghis Khan was white, who ravaged half the world in a very vicious way from Mongolia. But in this material, this wisdom went underground when the white man arrived on the shores of many lands. It is the time now for this wisdom to emerge and be shared among the peoples of the planet. At Lakota, the Sioux Indians, a Lakota Sioux Indian, holy man, Black Elk, had an epic vision at age 9, which included the unification of all peoples on this planet. And by the way, I think one of the biggest things that has connected we the people from all over the planet, interestingly enough, has been the internet. People from all over the world have commented on my videos from countries everywhere. It's fascinating. So we can all communicate as one, but I think that a lot of the information is controlled. And thank goodness for people out there who are thinking outside the box and not following the Lucifer party line. Like a lot of people follow the Republican party line in the USA or the Democratic party line in the USA, not knowing that these Lucifer religious beings into these secret societies and cults control our political parties, banking systems, and so much more. And they use any means available to them, including assassinating people, and assassinating people's characters, making them lose their jobs, and so much more. They are ruthless and will do anything to meet their ends. Here is a brief excerpt. So here's something an Indian man said. The sacred hoop of my people was one of many hoops that made one circle, wide as daylight and as starlight, and in the center grew one mighty flowering tree to shelter all the children of one mother and one father. Behold the circle of the sacred loop, for the people shall be like unto it. If they are like unto this, they shall have power, because there is no end to this loop, and in the center of the hoop they raise their children. There is no end to this hoop. The sacred hoop means that the continents of the world and the peoples of all colors shall stand as one. So this stuff jumps out at me, maybe not you. But think of those paintings and murals on the walls in the Denver airport. Weren't they just long lines of all kinds of people? And then in the center of the mural was destroyed cities and a gigantic sword and a man with a gas mask and a machine gun and death everywhere. Just saying, people need to go watch these channeled materials, these videos, but look at it with a discriminating eye and go, wait a minute, where's the subtle meaning to this? Where is it trying to take me? What's it trying to tell me that's old and outdated religion and the old way of thinking? Why is the old way of thinking now all of a sudden outdated and no longer needed? And why is this new light that they're channeling from these entities, which some could say would be witchcraft, occult, mysticism, Kabbalah, using the Merkaba, the Shamas, all over the world for thousands of years, took peyote, ayahuasca, opium, different drugs, meditation, yoga, creating with beings from the other side. This classic on shamanism pioneered the modern shamanic renaissance. Are we having a shamanic renaissance now? It is the foremost resource and reference on shamanism. Now, with this new introduction as a guide to current resources, anthropologist Michael Harner provides the definitive handbook on practical shamanism. Well, you can believe I'm going to read this. Here's another one. Astral doorways. What's an astral doorway? On the astral plane, so there are many planes of existence, maybe? The magician. This book says magician. Top sentence. The magician can experience visions of time past and time to come, and will come face to face with gods, paganism, and demons, angels, and elementals. It says it right there, that first paragraph. Elementals, angels, demons. In this book, a highly regarded contemporary occultist reveals the true nature of this universe of limitless possibilities within each of us. Astral doorways, through a series of concentration and visualization exercises, provides a safe and effective way to this boundless world. And just as a disclaimer here, I believe we're spiritual beings in these biological bodies. So I'm not opposed to the fact that shamanism has existed for thousands of years. If I were a citizen of a tribe in Peru 200 years ago, and let's say my son or daughter were sick, I'd go see the local tribal doctor, the shaman. And in all his hoodoo and what he did or taking a drug, he would go into the invisible realm. He would come back in a daze and remember what they had told him. And he would gather some herbs and some other seeds and grind them into a porridge, give them to my son or daughter, and it would likely cure them of their disease. So who can be opposed to that? And Jesus did many of the similar things. So even Jesus's fantastic feats of miracles was done many times all over the world. So there was nothing wrong with that. Jesus's message, and I'm not trying to be religious here, I'm just saying, his added commandment in the Gospel of St. John said that we are to love one another. I believe that. That the people who controlled the world back then in Jerusalem, the Jewish world, the Pharisees, the leaders, and of course under the thumb of the Roman government, they crucified Jesus, who said he would rise from the dead in 3 days, which he did, and apparently stayed on the planet for 60 days with his disciples and teachings, and then ascended to heaven. That sounds all plausible to me. It combines the spiritual world with the physical world. No problem there. But my point again is, what are we getting with this channeled material? Are we getting the good news, or are we getting some deception, bad news? I suppose that's for us to find out. So far we have understood here that these people have a brainstorm of an idea of gathering the elders from all over the planet. And let me tell you where it takes us here. The spiritual elders' message is all about love and about living from the heart. And we would all like to believe that. But that's not what I see. And like I think they say in Mississippi, I don't believe what you say. It's a show me state. And I believe that all my life. I don't believe what people say. I believe what people do. So I believe what I see. And 911 inside job and so much more shows me what they are doing. So what's going on here? Interestingly enough, the astrologist on the internet, Pacha, quite popular personality, he was even talking about the other day about all these evil forces on planet Earth doing what they're doing. So again, when I'm making these videos on Freemasonry and Satanism, which seems to encompass all these other things I've been talking about, these books I've been reading, following my path, my intuition, it seems what I would like is for people to wake up and realize we are being deceived hugely. And we, the people, need to organize and get together and change the world to the right way. And I do not believe by any means it should be to force the world into a one world government, one world currency, one world religion. And those people who do not agree will be killed, beheaded. And it says it in these books I've been going over, you've been watching my videos, that there will be people who will resist. And when we have this merger between the two dimensions, the two worlds collide, to them it will be like running into a cement wall. It's all about forgiveness and non-judgment. Non-judgment. So now we're tying into the gay agenda and all of that. They want the rest of us to not listen to what the Bible said, religious teachings from many different religions all over the world. They're coming up with a new religion, and you shouldn't be judgmental. And I'm all for forgiveness, and I'm all for not trying to judge people. And I think a lot of us in the world have turned away from any kind of disgust or hate towards gay people. There has been a huge amount of acceptance, forgiveness, and non-judgment, even though a lot of us inside think that it might be wrong, not only biblically, but just morally and physically unhealthy. If you don't believe me, go find a nurse who works in a emergency room at any hospital and ask her about some of the cases involving people's strange activities sexually. It's enough said on that. I've had nurses tell me. Now is the time for merging ancient wisdom and technology into a harmonious balance. So a lot of this stuff just sounds so nice and tempting. Specifically, we understand that the Algonquin peoples in Canada have held such a prophecy of this special time of choice for humanity and for the planet herself. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia, the Mayans, the Celtics, the African peoples, the Tibetans, the Alaskan peoples, the Hawaiians, and the Hebrews. It's got the Hebrews in here. When I saw where it said the Hebrews, I said to myself, well, wait a minute. Weren't it the Hebrews, not all of them, but a certain group of them, the leaders of the popular sect, the cult, crucified Jesus, and the Hebrews throughout history, the last couple thousand years, there have been many accusations of blood libels, sacrificing people in some kind of satanic ritual, pleasing some gods or deity. I believe in Africa they were sacrificing people, it says, the African peoples here. The Mayans, the Aztecs were sacrificing people. So they say these things, but they're not saying all the details. Now they're just painting these people as all good people, including the Hebrews, as well as many other indigenous groups. Also hold keys for unlocking the ancient wisdom and bringing forth the truth into the light for all to share. Well, if you try to talk about the truth about the Hebrews, they'll call you an anti-Semite. You can't have the light for all to share. But then again, I'm looking above here, and it says it's all about forgiveness and non-judgment. So we should forgive all these people who caused World War I, World War II, 9/11, the ongoing wars right now, murder and mayhem in Syria and many other places. The planned New Age, New World Order, destruction of America and Europe, FEMA camps and all this other stuff, spying on we the people, toxins, poisons, sky spraying. So I'm reading this and I go outside and notice that they're still dumping chemicals in the sky, so I'm not buying it. Like a lot of people have posted billboards across the country. President Trump, are you going to stop the chemical trails? The sky spraying, chemtrails. Moving on in this book, we're talking about channeling. We're talking about Kyron. We're talking about some of these sentences. But what do they really mean? What are they saying? What can we believe? They have been the faithful wisdom keepers. So now all of a sudden, all these elders from these tribes and ancient peoples all over the world have been the faithful wisdom keepers. And again, now I'm thinking about all those books in the Encyclopedia Judaica, all those topics, the book Zohar, the Kabbalah, the information on communism, Zionism. The faithful wisdom keepers. Again, I'm not buying it. Now is the time for them to come together and meet in the traditional council and share their wisdom. As a matter of fact, we've learned that the elders of the indigenous peoples have all been meeting in small groups from time to time, creating networks for this very purpose. In addition, the Hopi, I've been out to the Hopi Reservation, 2012, who were considered by many indigenous groups to be the keepers of the truth in this special time in our Earth's history, have also long carried prophecies of their challenges in this special time. So they're focusing here by this channeled entity, Kyron, through Lee Carroll, that all these ancient tribes, their elders, have had these prophecies about this special time. They have gone 4 times to specifically address the House of Mika, normally known as the United Nations. Now, wait a minute. So the United Nations is embracing these elders from all over the planet. So they would have us believe. The United Nations has an occult meditation room and occult symbolism. No doubt about it. A lot of the information historically, the Jewish culture was into the Kabbalah and mysticism. There's no mistake in that, into the occult, and accused of sorcery and witchcraft and blood libel. No doubt about it. There's no doubt. Documented history. But people would tell you now how shallow people are. Rick, it's the past. That doesn't happen anymore. Well, apparently, children are being abducted big time right now. Even with the exposure of Pizzagate and certain occultic satanic networks going on right now. And there's no doubt about it, the symbolism in TV programming, football halftime shows, Emmys, Grammys, Olympic openings, tunnel openings, singing contest in Europe, Eurovision, I've mentioned all this, Bohemian Grove, a gigantic goat on the Hoover Dam, Shiva on the Empire State Building, Katy Perry, Allende Grande during the British bombing or shooting recently. Listen to the lyrics of these songs. In more recent events, Lee Carroll, the channel for Kyron, the entities that's detailing this information in these books and these videos you can go watch, was invited to the United Nations in New York City on 3 occasions to channel Kyron. I read this and I said, oh my, do people know this? That our people down at the United Nations are listening to channeled material from Kyron? Do you think we're in trouble? Look at CERN and the celebration and rituals they're having there. With the Collider, obviously, seemingly to open a portal. And the goddess of destruction statue Shiva is out front. Located in Geneva, which is on the Swiss-French border, which is the long-time homeland of the Illuminati, the origin of the Frankenstein myth. You think all that's an accident? At 2 of the 3 UN channelings, Kyron mentioned the need to consider forming an advisory council of indigenous peoples so their wisdom can be made available for the good of all humanity. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's over there in Germany with the G20 meeting, and they're tweeting all these ridiculous comments, even about Podesta and the emails. But meanwhile, they're bombing the people in Syria to smithereens. So I see whoever is controlling the world is certainly causing distractions over here. So you're causing distractions over here so you can't, or you're not looking at what's actually going on over here. And they do that all the time, especially when there comes up to be a popular issue, like the day before 9/11, when Donald Rumsfeld said that $3 trillion was missing from the Pentagon budget. And the next day we had 9/11. And apparently they found evidence that people were looting the gold from the bottom of some of those buildings during 9/11. And so much more evidence in my videos and the books I've read, magazine article, press releases, and many other people's videos out there, websites, books, magazine articles, Nexus magazine. There's no reason not to wake up to this fact that there is a huge deception and a program of beguilement going on. And beguilement means you're making money, or they're opening up a new brewery, or they're selling drugs through these elite government programs to keep everybody in a party mode, or keep them on drugs or alcohol, or in a state of fear, poverty. Common sense seems to have left the planet. Alright, so below is a brief excerpt from the November 1996 Kyron channeling at the UN. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, I realize people may say, well, Rick, this stuff doesn't really interest me. I like when you talk about UFOs and aliens, or secret societies, or bashing the Jews and all this other stuff. Illuminati. I think this information is equally, if not more important, because so many people are following for it, getting drawn in. People say it gives them comfort, hope. And they want to destroy any belief in Jesus. Demonize Jesus. Christianity. Even call them haters. People who want to talk about the truth. Anti-government belligerents. People who want to resist, maybe if they try to confiscate the guns, will be called insurgents. We need to pay attention to these key words. And so many people are so shallow and zombie-like. They allow themselves, like I'm fishing, and I'm reeling them in. People allow themselves to be reeled into these nightly news reports. First, it's Germany is evil. The Mexicans crossing the border, they're evil. The Arabs are evil. The Chinese are evil. The Russians are evil. Where does it stop? Now they had Jade Helm 15, 2015 in the United States, with troops and military exercises all over the country. Pretty soon it'll be the people are evil. If you don't believe it, just watch the TV programming on those popular shows in the evening every day. They are demonizing we the people. Gotham, Arrow, Lucifer program is certainly not portraying humans in a positive light. You think that's an accident? Alright, so here we go. Channeling at the UN. Now we have a question for you. This is Kyron speaking. I'm reading here. It's in italics. If you were to build an organization of nations, such as this from the beginning again, would it make sense to you in these times, with the millennium approaching, to have the wisdom of this planet's ancients present in your planning? Could you use their collective ideas, or perhaps their secrets previously hidden? I think you would say yes. This is an excellent idea. Well, we all know, like President John Kennedy, who said that secret societies are repugnant to the way of life in America. We know what they did to him, and so many other people who did not go along, presidents of different countries, whistleblowers. They have been assassinated, incarcerated, neutralized, discredited, put in poverty, drugged, mind controlled, or just plain missing, disappeared. So moving back to this, Why is it then that there is no place in this vast organization for that very wisdom? Did you forget that it is available? Did you discount that it would be available? Did you discount that it would be valuable? Even on this continent, there are native ancestors of the ancients that still carry the understanding of the old spiritual earth ways. They understand the spiritual nature of the land and of peace. They understand coexistence with the elements and the nature of the West, the energy of the West, East, North, and South. Those ancients were founded, making mistakes today. Those ancients who founded the tropical islands of the entire earth fully understood their own star ancestry. And their human ancestors still teach it to this day in an unwritten language and know how it fits together with the energy of earth. Those on the other side of the planet from you right now who are today building fires with sticks for warmth and gathering around in a primitive fashion may understand better than any wise person in this building how things actually work. There are ancestors of ancients on every continent, and their knowledge fits together. Did you know that? For the truth of the planet never changes, but the bases are often lost to the modern ones. So like I said, I'm not opposed to the shamans and their knowledge, ancient religions and peoples all over the world. Even in the 1900s, not too long ago, people, the ancient tribes all over South America were being neutralized, destroyed. They want, let's say they could talk the government into putting in a nuclear power plant or an electrical power plant, and they needed to dam up the tribal creeks and waterways, and the natives were in the way. Well, the natives were machine gunned to death, were killed. Africa, same thing. All over the world, whoever runs our planet, the evil forces, that's what they did, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they have planned. They control the United Nations. So I just don't know if I think what's being channeled here by this entity, Kyron, is looking out for the best interest of we the people. Even Jesus said you have to test the spirits. But they do use beguilement. They do make great promises. Yet none of these wise ones are represented in this building, since they do not own the land they are on. So if none of the wise people on the planet are at the United Nations, I have a question to ask. Who is representing we the people? Couldn't possibly be all the Zionist, communist, Jewish types, not all Jewish people, that are controlling our government and our politicians and our banking systems and everything else. Could it? And the publishing companies? So I know that if anything is actually meant to help we the people, the evil forces ruling our planet usually find a way to destroy it. Is that true, or is that false, what I just said? If there were any forces that became so popular that were really out to help we the people on the planet, wouldn't they be destroyed? Haven't they always been destroyed? They carry the greatest wisdom that this planet has to offer to humanity today, but because they are not politically powerful, they are ignored. So we can say, I would say, that if they did get this council of elders, it just makes one wonder, would those people be just as easily bought, bribed, controlled, as all the people we have now in the House of Representatives and the Congress and the presidency and advisors, and to the countries all over the world. And many presidents have been assassinated who did not go along. Is that true? Is that false? And so we say that it is time to consider a council of elders, of the spiritually wise, to advise the rest of you. Who is advising these people at the United Nations now? The Pentagon, the Capitol, the Congress. All we have to do is pay attention to what they're doing, not what they're saying. The poor Syrians could tell you. They got ships offshore, sending missiles, planes flying overhead, relentlessly. It's been a long time that Syria's been under attack. And you never see any mention of Israel in the news on these issues. Wonder why that is. Then you can go look up on Yahoo image site and see maps that say right on them, Greater Israel. Look up Greater Israel on Yahoo image site and see the maps. Read history, read prophecy. From what markers, from Baghdad down to the Egypt of property they're supposed to gain back at the end times. It's in writing. But don't forget, forgiveness. Forgetfulness should be the word. They want everybody to forget the truth. Doesn't matter that all the politicians, many of them, are saying the words with their mouth. New World Order. And many people, volumes, I have books this thick, just the pages full of all the secret societies into the New Age. Is the New Age dangerous? Is there an ultimate plan for this paradigm shift? Should we be asking these questions? If you do this, it will indeed bring results for you, all of you. There is no greater time than this for such an idea. Perhaps it will now occur in the big room down the hall at the United Nations. If they were sincere, they could have avoided World War I, World War II, French Revolution. A lot of chaos and anarchy for the past 1,000 years. Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Alexander the Great. All right, Lee Carroll was again invited to speak at the United Nations on November 1998. So the United Nations, the people that are a collection of representatives from nations all over the world, are getting their information from channeled material and the channeler human himself, Lee Carroll. Kyron again restated the need for the wisdom of the indigenous elders, page 315. Can you just imagine it? If instead of using the word channeler, if we just came clean and called it a psychic, and the psychic was down at the United Nations, channeling some entity on the other side, giving advice, would there be any suspicions that that might just be a bit bizarre? Concerning? Why a World Council of Elders? A World Council of Elders, the WCOE, is a developing group of indigenous or native elders from all across the globe, coming together to counsel and educate humanity about world peace. I'm all for world peace. The mission of the WCOE, the World Council of Elders, is to rejuvenate ancient wisdom and sacred knowledge, to integrate it with modern cultures and technologies to assist humanity and Mother Earth in realizing unification, there we go, New World Order, harmony, and a full spiritual awareness. I would like for people to become spiritually aware that we are all humans or spiritual beings in these biological bodies. But you can't get a lot of people to acknowledge that. Then once you acknowledge that, you have to say, okay, what does the spiritual world have to do with us in this world? And are there any instructions on how we are to behave in this world? And there are two schools of thought. The Ten Commandments and many of the other religions all over the world have similar commandments. I did take a comparative religion course in community college by an Iranian teacher. So they have don't kill, don't steal, don't do those things. But then again, and even all these other countries and cultures, they have evil forces that want to do evil, that are connecting, I guess, with beings from the other side also. So who are you going to follow? The family values, decency, normalcy. Because they'll tell you now there's no such thing as normal. I went to get a haircut once, and the guy said, how do you want me to cut it? I said, I'd like a normal haircut. I have a business meeting tomorrow. And he was very distraught, and he screamed even in the barbershop. He said, there is no such thing as a normal haircut. Normal doesn't exist anymore. And he was obviously by his speaking and mannerism, he was a gay man. And I took the apron off me and got out of the chair and said, I'm going to go to a different barber shop. But it's mind control. Who you're going to follow. And are these channeled materials, Kyron? Raw. Look up the raw material on the internet. Read the stuff. Watch my videos. Esther Hicks, Manifest Your Desire. Jane Roberts, The Magical Approach. Barbara Marciniak, Channeling the Palladians. Who are the Palladians? And many others. I got to read this book, Tuning In. A journalist, 6 trance channelers and messages from the other side. All right, back to the book. The mission of the WCOE, the World Council of Elders, is to rejuvenate ancient wisdom and sacred knowledge, and to integrate it with modern cultures and technologies to assist humanity and Mother Earth in realizing unification, harmony, and full spiritual awareness. The indigenous people who have remained connected with Mother Earth understand that we each have a role to play in this reunification. Consequently, they can offer much spiritual insight and practical solutions to correct the global problems currently confronting humankind. Okay, why do we have global problems currently confronting humankind? Who controls a vast amount of the resources on Earth today? It's easy to just spit it out and say, well, the Jewish people. And to a degree, that would be correct. But it's not all Jewish people. Some Jewish people called the Orthodox. Remember, Jesus was Jewish. Follow Moses and God's teaching. Then there's the Reformed Jewry, Zionist Jewry, Communist Jewry, and according to the Encyclopedia Judaica and other books, these people have a propensity, historically, or interested in causing revolutions, controlling the resources, and are into witchcraft and magic, Kabbalah and mysticism, and blood libel, sacrificing children and all that. These people probably were the ones who crucified Jesus. So again, it's not all Jewish people. And even in the Christian world, there's the good ones who say they're Christian and act like Christians, and there's a lot of people who say they're Christians, but they're really not. Even in Revelations in the Bible, it says Jews who, Revelation 9, last book of the Bible, Jews who call themselves Jews but are not. Okay, who are they? Then you learn about the Khazarians and find out that most of the Jews today are descendants of the Khazarians up by Russia and the Ukraine and Poland, a whole country 1,000 years ago that converted to Judaism. And over in Israel today, where Jack Bernstein, an American Jew, moved to Israel, found out the truth, moved back to the United States and wrote a book. An American Jew moved to Israel. And he teaches or shows in that book, generally speaking, two types of Jewish people. The Akanazis, funny thing that it has Nazi in it, are from the Polish area, Ukraine, Russia, Northern Europe, Northern Eastern Europe. A ruthless, barbaric people 1,000 years ago. They managed to fend off all the Arabs and fend off all the Romans and Christians and the Muslims and Arabs on both sides of them. They were to the north of the Mediterranean. So they were very powerful in managing to fight off those two influences. And apparently these are the people today who are behind the Illuminati and a lot of these secret societies and cults. And I'm sure not all of the people with the DNA that are descended from those groups, the Khazarians, they're not all evil too. So I guess the huge question is, how do you determine who's who? I don't think that is so much of a concern to me as trying to wake up the people that this stuff I'm talking about appears to be reality, the truth. We're all being deceived and beguiled. And there is an end game. It's like a freight train coming. For this new age and this new world order. This communism. This anti-Christian, anti-Islamic, anti-religious thing coming. It's here. The freight train is so close you can hear it now. Imagine a runaway freight train in Western days. The people in a small little town out there in Texas. All of a sudden they can hear a train coming. And if only they knew that the conductor had a heart attack and died, and it was a runaway train into their town. But all they know is they see a train coming. They don't know about the impending explosion and destruction. And that's just a metaphor for what's happening right now. We need to wake up. There's no conspiracy theory. There is conspiracy fact. And a lot of people are acknowledging that now. And I think it includes this channeled material. It's one of those arms of the conspiracy, not theory, but fact, that few people recognize and see. They get deceived and beguiled. Pretty colors, pretty paintings, telling you can do anything you want. The old ways are old. They're no longer needed. Forget them. Come with us. Pinocchio, come to the island. Cotton candy. What happens? They take Pinocchio to the back of the island and put him on a slave ship. Beguilement. If you haven't watched the Pinocchio movie, go find the old version and watch it. I'll never forget when I was a little boy sitting in that theater. The things you remember. Alright, consequently, they can offer much spiritual insight and practical solutions to correct the global problems currently confronting humankind. Okay, who caused 9/11? Obviously, it was an inside job. Go read Webster Tarpley's Synthetic Terror. Watch a lot of videos on YouTube, many other books. But why aren't the people taking action about this? And even the chemtrails dumped in the sky, the chemicals dumped in the sky, it gets in your body. When is enough enough? You have breathing problems, you start to get asthma-like conditions, choking. If you start watching people around you fall down, bleeding and foaming out of the mouth, will people wake up then? I'm beginning to wonder if they would even wake up then. Anyways, back to the book. The elders typically share a deep spiritual awareness and power correctiveness with Mother Earth. So are they saying in this book that all these people that we elect for our governor, our senators, our representative in each state, and down at City Hall, and down in Washington, D.C., and in countries all over the world, that we can't rely on those people? That we need to find some older people from all over the world and gather them together to save humanity? Is that what it's saying here? Or is it just another ruse, another beguilement, another deception? The elders also share an astonishing common knowledge of who we are and where we come from and where we have the potential to go when we listen to our hearts and follow our own inner being. This wisdom has been kept safe, often hidden away, and passed down from many generations of indigenous peoples until it could be shared in the energy of this special time. Well, I've spent time in Costa Rica and Mexico. I've met a lot of people from all over the world. And I got to tell you, there are a lot of good people everywhere you go. But generally speaking, they're not the ones in charge. Down there in Mexico, if you go to the local city, the wealthy people have huge gates on their property and walls. Even where they keep their boats are gigantic marinas with walls. So the elites and the powerful separate themselves from us. And I certainly don't think they would allow a group of elders, shamans, or whatever you want to from all over the world collected at the United Nations, which seems to be into the occult, having channelers come there and speak to them numerous times. I don't think the elites would allow good guidance of behavior. To the contrary, they're trying to encourage chaos and anarchy, a very corrupt way of life all over the world, including even the cartoons people's kids watch. The elders typically share in a deep spiritual awareness and power correctiveness with Mother Earth, simplicity, humility, dignity, and of course a sense of humor. The elders also share an astonishing common knowledge of who we are, where we came from, and where we have the potential to go when we listen to our hearts and follow our own inner being. I think if people were to pay attention to the religious teachings, especially Jesus' commandment that we are to love one another, we would be a lot further on than the destruction of Christianity. We'd be much better off. Just me. Clean neighborhoods, little kids playing in the playground together, riding bicycles, going to school, no drugs on the campus. Imagine the world if it weren't for the corrupt people into power and money and perversion. If they weren't the ones in control of our planet. Now there's an idea. We could just get those beasts out of the positions of control and put normal people in there. No matter what that man at the barber shop said, there is something called normalcy. And normalcy is not evil. But in the end times, normalcy will be evil. Up will be down, down will be up. 2 plus 2 will be 5. Why? Because they told you it's 5. Common sense has left the room. You're not supposed to think with common sense. You're supposed to think and believe what you see on the TV and the newspaper and the movies and the stuff like that. This wisdom has been kept safe, often hidden away, and passed down from many generations of indigenous people until it could be shared in the energy of this special time. So if this channeled entity Kyron were indeed a wise being trying to save planet Earth and humanity, you think he would speaketh the truth and tell who the real enemy of mankind is. On a daily basis, they sought the counsel of the Great Spirit and Mother Earth to help them understand the principles of life on this planet. I'm not trying to do an audiobook. I'm just reading a little bit from this material. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of these Kyron videos and these other ones. Thousands of channeled material. If you watch them, get yourself a notebook, like I do, and take some notes. Study the material. See the common denominators. On a daily basis, they sought the counsel of the Great Spirit and Mother Earth to help them understand the principles of life on this planet. From these teachings, these spiritual elders understood the energies and vibrations of the planet and its connection with the universe. This knowledge helped the indigenous peoples to live in close partnership with the elements of Earth. So they're talking about historical behavior of the indigenous people on the planet. Well, I've done a bit of reading myself, and I can tell you the indigenous people, whichever continent you were on, were usually all warring with each other throughout history. There's just many examples beyond count. Whether it's the different Indian tribes in America, the different tribes in Central, South America, Africa, Asia. So he's painting a nice, pretty picture here that they were much smarter and better off. Well, if they were, why wasn't there a chain of events where good people were put in charge of our governmental institutions? Back in the 1920s, there was congressional testimony that the communists and people like that, Illuminati, Zionist Jewish types, and yes, the Zionist Jewish activities have been going on a couple hundred years, according to the material in the Jewish Encyclopedia Judaica, and many other books. So there have been evil forces busy at work on planet Earth for a long time. I'll give you that. They kept life simple and basic. So these people, these ancient spiritual elders, are so good here, it's describing them. When if you read history with all the warring going on all the continents, all over the planet, there were some evil tribes who would come down on a nice, peaceful, quiet tribe and kill them all, take all their goods, and take their women. Throughout history. The good people usually never stand a chance. Historically, whenever a society became too complex and lost its connection to the Great Spirit and Mother Earth, its self-destruction or eventually disappeared. You know, prior to World War I, before Germany was demonized, it was an industrial, prosperous, great nation. Before World War I. And it got caught up in a war with Britain because of that prosperity. The Britain, called the United Kingdom, was losing its grip on power worldwide, and Germany was growing. So they were having a war, and Germany was winning. What if Germany would have been allowed to win and there hadn't been the betrayal? Where would we be today? Were they such a bad people? Anyways, the story could be told in many different examples, like in America today. If the evil forces hadn't taken over America years ago, even in 1913, when the Rothschilds, Jewish Illuminati, took over the banking system, controlling our money, which means controlling what happens to us, influencing our politicians, making those people wealthy who went along and worked against we the people, where would the United States be today? I could use many countries. Brazil, Mexico. What if the negative influences weren't there? Argentina, Peru. How many revolutions would not have been necessary? Vietnam, the Philippines, China. Boggles the mind to think, what if the evil forces did not gain control of our world? Where would we be? Alright, many indigenous peoples still govern themselves by councils of elders and have done so for thousands of years. Indigenous peoples respect the wisdom of their elders who have life experience and inner knowledge beyond anyone younger. We know that the tide has turned of that event. A lot of parents these days can't control their children because they are taught by the system, the schooling system and everything else, peer pressure, to be rebellious. When did that happen? Why did that happen? They have faced the hardships and lessons of life as presented on this planet. So I'm just trying to show here that this channeled material by Kyron doesn't seem to be as divine, spiritual-like that it should be if it were coming from somebody who was really that intelligent. A lot of this stuff is sugar-coated or being used as deception or beguilement, promises that will never be kept. Elders possess the inner knowledge which takes time to obtain and pass on to younger generations. History confirms that councils were comprised of elders who governed their people wisely. Those councils were formed to ensure harmony and peace among themselves and other peoples. It is the oldest form of leadership on this planet. Well, again, according to my research, even reading from the Encyclopedia Judaica, 1973 edition, I've been making videos out of the material in those books, and we can say for a couple thousand years, the Jewish people, not all of them, but many of them have been busy causing huge problems all over the world, being exiled from Britain, being exiled from Spain, having huge problems in Russia, fleeing to Germany, finding safe haven in Germany. The one country that was providing them with that was betrayed during World War I with the Balfour Agreement, which was a deal made with Britain and the elite Jews that if they got the Jewish money and power worldwide to assist Britain and the United States into the war because they controlled President Woodrow Wilson and the American banking system since 1913, that Britain would then help them get the Palestinians land, and all this part of some big spiritual prophecy of Judaism, where someday they would be the aristocrats of the world and rule the world from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Now, what's more true, what I just said there, or the stuff that's being said in this book? The stuff that the United Nations, those people are sitting there listening to this channeled material by this entity, Kyron. I guess they find the least wise and ethical among us and put them in charge of us. Is that a true statement? How it all got started. Page 330. When the ancient prophecies of the indigenous peoples and the recent channelings of Kyron being made public, the necessity and validity for a World Council of Elders has been recognized. So you really think they're going to put these World Council of Elders together and they're going to stop the New Age and the New World Order? Or is all this part of that deception? I asked, is it? Didn't say that I definitively said it was. I'm trying to have an open mind, but when I read some of these sentences, I don't see the facts and the truth as I see them. The present ongoing devastation of Mother Earth and the atrocious behavior of humans against each other. Okay, who's causing this atrocious behavior of humans against each other? Is making it very clear that life as it exists on this planet is in a precarious balance. And I agree with that 1000%. But who's creating that? Who's destroying Christianity? Who's destroying the Islamic nations and their stable society? And many others all over the world, in Africa and South America and elsewhere. In Europe, secretly conspiring to bring about a European Union. One of the leaders, Mier Parnot, who conspired behind the scenes to bring this about. Took him years. But if you put his name in a 666 calculator, it's 666, the mark of the beast. You take a lot of these leaders like Kissinger, it's 666 and a 66 calculator. I know I'm taking you into the spiritual world with this stuff, but isn't that where this channeled material is taking people? Who are we going to believe? These people who have the spelling of their name, like Aleister Crowley, who intentionally change it to equal 666, the mark of the beast. Eric Schmidt, CEO for Google, 666. And so many others. Newt Gingrich got divorced because he did some things that I thought that were kind of suspicious, satanic, according to Frankenism and Satanism, witchcraft. And I kept looking it up. My intuitive ability was telling me something's not right here. Newton Gingrich, everything I could, but I couldn't get 666. I went on Wikipedia and I found out it was Newton McPherson, and that's 666 and a 66 calculator. Santa Claus is 666. These people created the concept of Santa Claus. Celebrate Jesus' birth by giving all the children toys and putting Christmas trees in their homes, which are phallic symbols. Need I go on? That's another conversation for another day. The indigenous peoples on this planet have experienced these painful changes and now know that action has to be taken. And I'm not going to deny that there are some ancient or elderly people down there in the Mayans or the American Indians or in the Aborigines in Australia, Alaska, all over the world that aren't good, sincere people with probably a better sense of reality than a lot of people. Even a cat or a dog or a deer or a cow, an animal, can have a baby. How many humans can have their own baby without being rushed to the hospital? Pretty few. So I'd say the animals have one up on us. Even the animals remember the old ways. That I'll agree on. Like food. How do people know how to skin a deer, cure a deer, keep it hung up in some place so it didn't go bad and spoil? How do they, if something happened tomorrow and there was a worldwide disaster, where do people know how to get water? How to create a safe place to go to the bathroom? The plumbing system, the sewer system's not going to work when the system collapses. Who's going to stay down there at the sewer facility and run it? The water company, the electric company, nobody. Smart ones on the planet at that time will be the animals. Just saying. One way to mitigate all this has taken place and is to develop the World Council of Elders of Indigenous Peoples. In my case, some very strong inner voices began to cause a stirring. So this gentleman is saying, in his case, a very strong inner voices, began to cause a stirring within me, telling me that something needs to be done. My life on this planet was intended to accomplish a certain mission. How this task was to be realized involved many individuals, whom I have contacted at particular times throughout my life, who would be teachers and mentors. There's just tons of material out there about all these societies and organizations. But there is some common denominators I've noticed, and that they're saying the old ways are no longer useful. We all have to come to grips with the new age. Their patience and understanding helped develop the impetus for this work. I would like to thank them for all the assistance they have contributed to this journey. I'd like to look into these people there individually and see what else they've done and where they are today. I'm just not so convinced that all these channelers I've listened to a lot of stuff on this material. Can't find the book. Like the Palladians. Go watch some of Barbara Marciniak's material. Go watch my series number 60. Part 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think part 4 was pretty interesting. But she opens up her speech or her lecture channeling the Palladians, Barbara Marciniak, with the a sentence like this. Welcome! I see the pixies are here, the Palladians are here, the angels are here, the other reptilian beings are here, these, I'm watching the video going, what the heck is going on here? And it's channeled material that's guiding the United Nations. So some very strong inner voices began to cause a stirring within me, telling me that something needs to be done. I'm all for doing something, but the biggest thing that I think that people can do is to wake up. Things like 911 were planned. A lot of those shootings and bombings, Boston bombing, why was that at 666 Boylston Street? Why during the Sandy Hook school shooting, were from the photographs or the videos from the helicopter, people were going in the front door, going around the back of the building, coming in the front again, like a train, like it was a show. And many other questions. Why did that newscaster hold up a picture of an owl? Why is there a little tiny owl on the front of the $1 bill perched on one of the ones? Why is there an owl in California at the Bohemian Grove where they throw a baby in the fire? The owl has great significance. Why is Washington, D.C., the street plan, shaped like a gigantic owl? Now there's some spiritualism people ought to look into. In my opinion. A recent insight for starting this work was initiated in August 1998, when I talked with Lee Carroll, the one channeling Kyron, at the second January home retreat at Breckenridge, Colorado. Our discussion, so they had retreats, had group meetings. Our discussion encompassed the fact that I strongly felt that I had a mission, but I did not know what it would entail or even how it would start. I mentioned that in November 1997, I went back home to Hawaii to be with my family. While there, I had several personal spiritual experiences. So the guy went back to Hawaii and had several personal spiritual experiences, so he decided to help get together a World Council of Elders, which guided me to seek answers. From those experiences, I knew that I was to work as a liaison with indigenous tribes, but I did not know any of the details. I had a feeling that Kyron and Lee knew but could not tell me until I figured it out myself. After my talk with Lee, I left the retreat with a more positive attitude that something was in the making, and it was up to me to figure it out. Did the guy have sincere, good intentions, realistic intentions? Or is this part of the New Age and the New World Order metaphysics? Kyron and Lee Carroll, who channels him, they're being the advisors to this man. Who is Kyron, this being from the invisible reality? Can we trust his information? I also met Katie at the Journey Home. So they had this Journey Home retreat. That sounds New Agey and spiritualism. We immediately became friends without realizing that our paths would cross again in the near future, to include marriage. Alright, we've got 30 more minutes on this video that I want to make. So I'm going to talk about something else. My point with this book, with that particular information, few pages that I read, was that the United Nations had numerous, as you just heard me read, meetings with this entity Kyron. I guess Lee Carroll was there, went into a trance, and this entity from the other world, the invisible reality, was speaking to these people at the United Nations. Is that concerning? Who is this spiritual entity? So I do not have a book by Natalie Glasson, but I've been, so I'll put some of her information at the end of this Kyron Lee Carroll video. And we'll be investigating Kyron. There's many books out there and many different topics in the material. And Natalie Glasson, it's just amazing. Maybe I could find a way to show this on this with this camera. So here we go. Well, this camera wouldn't focus very well, so I printed out a sheet, and I'm looking at the computer screen. So I'll just share what I see and show you this page. But if you go on Yahoo search and you look up Natalie's name on the top here, top corner, you can see the spelling. So these are some of her videos, as you can see. Lady Palos Athena introduction. So I suspect she's channeling that entity. Channeled messages transforming negative and fear. Lady Kuan Yin introduction, channeling Lady Kuan Yin. Goddess Tamara introduction. Master Jesus introduction, right here where my finger is. Butterfly Moon introduction. Ascended Masters introduction. I think Helena Blavatsky of the Theosophist Society, who wrote the book Isis Unveiled and Secret Doctrine, teaching part of the New Age, the foundation for the New Age material, who also had Lucifer Publishing Company and Lucifer Magazine, etc. Anyways, Helena Blavatsky was talking to Moot Keone, these Ascended Masters. So apparently a lot of these famous people we all know into these different cults and secret societies were talking to these different kinds of beings and masters, including Aleister Crowley, known as the evilest man alive. I've showed those in my videos, series number 23. Go watch that stuff. That's why I make so many videos. You can't possibly get a handle on all this, what's going on in the world right now, unless you do a little bit of work. And making these videos was my way of making it simpler for people, so you could get an idea what's going on. Angelic Realms introduction. Tree spirits she's talking to. Elementals, these kinds of different kinds of pixie or little beings out there in the air, pixies. Elementals. Octorian's introduction. Master Joshua she's channeling. This person here is channeling so many people. Who else? Goddess introduction, goddesses. Galactic Federation introduction. Archangel Sandophon introduction. Saint Germain introduction. I could watch this person here for a couple of years to learn some material. Water spirits she's channeling. So remember, the United Nations are listening to the channeled information from Kyron, so that book says. And I've already made videos on the United Nations Meditation Room. Seems like they're into the occult. Like whoever controls the United States with the all-seeing eye and the pyramid on the $1 bill, or Washington, D.C. being the street plan in the shape of an owl, and so much more symbolism that many of us are aware of. Okay, who else? Commander Ashtar introduction. So anyways, I was watching this Natalie Glasson, and I saw all these videos. There's page after page after page of this. So this is no small thing, as I keep saying on many of these issues. Natalie Glasson, Ascension Diary, Channeled Messages, Ascension Tools. And what got me started into this channeling recently was the David Wilcock and Corey Good and the South Pole, Ascension, and several books I have. And I realized all this talk about ascension, transformation, other beings, grays, Galactic Federation. And it piqued my interest, along with the material I've been doing on the Freemasonry and Satanism videos since 2013. So September would be 4 years. So I thought I'd look into it with some serious investigation. And it's quite bizarre in extent. No mistaking it at all. White Beacons of Atlantis book she has. Channeled Messages, Healing Stars of the Universe by Mother. The Principles, I'm reading some more of her video names, of Ascensions and Cosmic Law by Celestial something or another. The Celebration Message. The Crystal Singing Bowls. Mother Mary Introduction. Lord Merlin Introduction. Goddess M-A-A-T Mat Introduction. So anyways, Archangel Metatron Introduction. And in the Jewish mysticism and a lot of this other stuff on the Kabbalah and other metaphysics, we heard about the Archangel Metatron. Like Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Rael. So anyways, I did watch a video, and it took me a couple days, and I made 13 pages of notes. So I thought I'd read a little bit of it to finish this video. We only have about 20 minutes left on this 2-hour video. Less than 2 hours, I hope. So I watched it on 7/5. I started watching it. I finished it yesterday on 7/6. And the channeled messages, Awakening to Your Root Chakra. So a lot of people into the New Age and metaphysics understand what the chakra system is. Apparently, energies like vortexes can come up through your spine. And the colors you can see here start out as red down by your spine. Your stomach, lower stomach would be orange. Upper stomach, yellow. Your heart would be green. Your throat would be blue. And then, of course, you have gold or white on your top of your head. Wheels of light. And there's a lot to this chakra system. And even in the book here, we see an Egyptian symbol. I keep getting these common denominators. We have a serpent in this symbol in the book. They have rules, different things here about colors and gemstones and different holistic New Age healing and identification of your health and all that, symbols. The chakra system. So my point is, this channeled person here, Natalie Gleason, we just saw some of her stuff. You can go watch this on the internet. And I did watch a video for a couple days and made 13 pages of notes on the galactic energy waves, and she's channeling a being called Melchior. And it was published on June 30th, 2017. Natalie Gleason, I just showed you. Okay, so I just want to introduce you to another human being channeling another entity from the invisible reality. The topic is galactic energy waves, and it goes like this. I am Melchior. I am the galactic logos. So it's like a being one level lower than God is the logos. Again, I'm learning this stuff. Baby steps here. I oversee the galactic levels of the Creator's universe, God would be the Creator, and distribute the sacred energies. I am neither masculine nor feminine. I am the synthesis of both. At least we forget, if you look at pictures of Baal, the devil, his women's breast, a man's torso, he's feminine and masculine, androgynous. You've got to pay attention to these common denominators. I am the synthesis of both, a unity and expression of the Creator. The energy I share can be received as silver, gold, and light, which brings forth healing, enlightenment, unity, and initiations. Initiations. People get initiated into these secret societies to become illuminated. Gain some secret knowledge. Again, is it for the good or the bad? Just because you go buy a book and read it doesn't mean the title is telling you the truth. The wisdom of Israel. All this stuff in here, wheels of light. It says on the back of this book, got to read it, and I've read it before, but I need to read it again and make a video on it. Wheels of Light explores the 7 chakras, or energy centers of the body with particular focus on the first chakra, which has to do with our basic life force, or physical bodies, or sexuality. So now we understand it's about sexuality, and we're aware of, a lot of us, about the gay agenda and the rainbow symbol. Drawing on scientific research, Native American culture. We just learned a little bit about the Kyron and that book about getting together the elders from all over the world, from the Native American and other indigenous cultures. The ancient traditions of the Egyptians, the Greeks, the philosophers, and the Hindus, and the religions of the East. Rosalind Breyer, the author of this book, presents a unique perspective of the value and healing potential of the chakra system. And again, I'm not opposed to learning these kinds of techniques, even like acupuncture, or how to use a pendulum for using connections to the higher powers. People have been dowsers for years, finding water and other uses, metals, lost people. Even the national parks, forest rangers, when somebody is lost in a vast forest, many times they'll contact a dowser who will hold the pendulum over a map and maybe a piece of clothing or some hair or something from the person, and ask their mind on the map going back and forth if the person is in that location. And when it gets to the spot where all of a sudden the person really is, it starts gyrating. And then the psychic will put a little X on the map and hand it back to the forest ranger. And then they will take a helicopter, fly to that location, and usually they will find the lost hikers. Real stuff. I'm not opposed to we people learning this technology and this wisdom, and the powers that be, evil forces, have been going out of their way for the last 1,000 years, trying to destroy this knowledge all over the world. For example, when the Crusaders went into Mexico City, they made a beeline in Mexico City to the Shama's hut, confiscated a lot of the materials there, and got his knowledge from him, proceeded to kill him, and then start mass killing natives and stealing all the gold. So they were after the knowledge and the gold. And of course taking some of the natives back to Europe for slaves. But anyways, back to this. The energy I share can be received as silver, gold, and light, which bring forth healing, enlightenment, unity, and initiations. I, Melchior, have been directed by the Creator to deliver 3 energy waves of light. Remember, this was just published. So, Natalie Glasson is channeling Melchior, and in June 30th, and 3 energy waves of life are coming to Earth at the beginning of July, August, and September. 90 days. The first wave will be sent to Earth from my essence, Melchior's essence, the being she's channeling, in the beginning of July 2017. I just read this. You can go look up the video. The title was Channeled Messages Awakening of Your Root Chakra. And they by Melchior, and it's at Natalie Gleason is the producer of the video, if you want to look it up. Channeled Message Dash Awakening of Your Root Chakra. CHAKRA. So they're going to have these energy waves of life come to Earth 3 times, the beginning of July, August, and September, according to this video. The second will be sent to Earth on August 2017, and the third will be the beginning of September 2017. Humanity will experience each energy wave. Well, that's interesting, maybe concerning. The transformation will be experienced over the 3-month period. To receive the galactic energy waves, imagine the lower part of your torso. That would be where the red chakra is, the root chakra. Imagine the lower portion of your torso from the base of your spine to above, past your hips, and through your waist as a chalice or cup. So imagine in the lower portion of your body, just imagine a big cup that collects light. So you got to meditate now and imagine a big cup in your lower abdomen that's going to collect this light that's being radiated from the universe towards Earth. The beginning of July, August, and September. And I'm not saying this is true. I'm sharing with my video audience what this says in plain English, making a synopsis that anybody can understand. I like to be plain spoken. So, a chalice or a cup that collects light. Let the energy of your heart chakra, that would be here, overflow in the shape of a chalice or cup to receive the light that fills your lower torso. So as this cup fills up with light from your lower torso down, you want that light to come up into your heart chakra. And the chakra systems work as little vortexes through an energy up through our bodies and up to our top of our head. It's called, when you get that energy practicing yoga or the occult, it's called the Kundalini. And when you get that energy going up through your body, you're supposed to get in some kind of euphoric mode, maybe being able to access another dimension or receive information. Moving on with the material, like I said, 13 pages of my notes. Okay. Imagine soul colors. Your heart and soul emanates, creates the chalice or the cup of light. Imagine in the center of the chalice, this thing you imagine at your waist, or cup of light, there is a magnificent jewel of light. So imagine you have a cup, imaginary cup around your waist, and it gets filled up like a jewel of light, like a little sun. I'm adding that. You may perceive it as red color or another color. It represents your root chakra. And the different colors, like your aura around your body, represent your mood, your emotions, and your health, maybe other things. Your root chakra is at the base of your spine. It is connected to the chalice of light. It's opening and expanding. So this light is coming from the universe to Earth, and you're imagining a big chalice cup around your waist that's filling up full of light. It gets a bright jewel in the middle of it that glows on a certain color, and you want that energy to come up into your heart. We're also sending a beam of light downward through your Earth Star chakra, below your feet, and into the core of Mother Earth. So they're sending a beam of light down into the core of Mother Earth. Take the attention of your mind to your stellar gateway chakra. I think that's this one. Above your soul star chakra, and say out loudly. Now listen to this. They want you to say this out loudly. I permit the most appropriate vibration of galactic energy from and overseen by Melchior, this being she's channeling, for my soul and ascension to ground into my stellar gateway now. So you said that. I permit, and you just said those sentences. You may experience an expansion in your own energy as silver golden light flows through the universe of the Creator directly into your body. The light will flood your being, grounding into your soul's star chakra and resting within the chakra until you are ready to continue. Take the attention of your mind to your soul's star chakra, between your stellar gateway and your crown chakra. This would be the crown chakra. Allow yourself time to acknowledge the energy now present. Can you imagine me listening to this video, taking all these notes, pondering over each sentence? The first wave will be sent to Earth from my essence in the beginning of July 2017. I already read that. We'll go to page 5. Say now, out loud, I now invite my soul star chakra to deliver the galactic energy essential for my ascension into my entire being. Observe as the light flows into your being and is collected within the chalice of light created by your soul in your heart chakra. Bring the attention of your mind to the chalice of light in your lower torso. Let it fill and overflow with the galactic light. Focus on your root chakra and imagine the light penetrating and merging with your root chakra. So you're saying this incantation or this an agreement to have this galactic light come down, fill up the cup on your torso area, and flow up into your body. You're allowing it. You're agreeing to something. A beautiful and transformational shift occurs within your root chakra. So they are talking about a transformation, conscious shift, or ascension. Planet Earth merging with like an invisible planet Earth, one a third dimension, one a fourth dimension, and merging together into a new Earth. It's been told in a lot of these New Age materials. The problem is, some people will not agree, and there will be a crash. So they're saying here in this material. And even in the prophecy, a lot of this Luciferium and New Age, at the end times, a lot of people will swear allegiance to Lucifer or the New Age, the Antichrist, and a lot of people will resist, and it's prophesied they will be beheaded, and apparently the government has purchased 30,000 guillotines, and you can look that up on the internet. Do not believe me. I just read and use my brain and see how I can connect the dots. What is with this spiritual battle in the cosmos and this effort to destroy the world's different religions and bring us this new train of thought saying the old way of thinking is outdated and no longer useful? Do you believe that? And if you do, just remember you've been taught that. And they've stopped teaching all the old ways, religion in schools and everywhere else. Who goes to church anymore? When I was younger, everybody went to church. Now hardly anybody goes to church. And during the 1920s, they had congressional hearings with communism by these Zionist, Illuminati, secret societies. They were going to do this. We can give them some credit for doing what they said they were going to do. And if we want to believe that with the Jewish Utopia, Professor Heger, and the Protocols of Zion, and the Talmud, and so much more material, there will be this Hunger Games movie type of world. Everybody will be enslaved, mark of the beast, microchipped. Those who they keep alive who do not swear allegiance to this new deity. Something's coming. Continue to focus on your root chakra and the flow of galactic energy pouring into your earth star chakra and the core of the earth, as well as the filling the chalice of light in your lower torso. So the light is also going to fill the core of the earth star chakra, and the lower torso of your body, if you imagine it. Place most of your attention into your root chakra to observe the shifts, awakening, and energies anchoring in the present coming moments and days. Practice this once and as many times as you feel guided at the beginning, each month during this 3-month period. So what do you think? This is channeled material. This is what she says is happening, channeling this Melchior. How the galactic energy will assist the root chakra represents patterns and habits of survival. Learning to exist on the earth. Alright, so like I said before, I was watching the Kepacha video, who does that stuff on astrology down in Costa Rica. Quite popular. Tom Leschers, his name, Leschers. Kaypacha. And he says, so it's just not my observation, this current system is not working. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Where have we heard that before? What is going on? What should we all think? As you receive the galactic light, your root chakra will be reprogrammed, healed and activated to support new understanding of survival and existence on the earth. Galactic codes, energetic patterns, and sacred symbols will be anchored into your root chakra. So go watch some of Natalie Glasson, her videos on YouTube. Maybe she has a book. I haven't looked that up. Go watch Kyron videos. Barbara Marciniak, Channeling the Palladians. Jane Roberts, many books. I've got many of them here. Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts. The Magical Approach. Esther Hicks, Manifest Your Desires. You're starting to get the idea here? The raw material. I made videos on that. We'll be doing this again. And then, of course, this other book I have to read. I've started looking at it, Tuning In, where one journalist works with 6 different channelers and writes a whole book about his observance and his information. And a reminder that even go look at Tex Marr's website. Go get that new book he's put out. So what is this spiritual communication with entities from the other side like Ra? Egyptian, isn't it? Abraham, Seth, Kyron, and so many more. I've got a whole chart of names that I have to watch their videos and make information on. Make videos. It's quite the educational program to study all of this, to become educated on all the channelers and what their message is and why. And again, the Jewish Messiah will be the Antichrist, and it involves apparently the Jewish people in part of this new age and new world order. Books like this are out there, The Way of the Shaman, Astral Doorways. Got a couple 100 books behind me. My bookcase is this long. It's longer than this arm can stretch and this arm can stretch. It's from wall to wall, this wooden bookcase, full of books. And this is my psychic research bookcase behind me. This bookcase over here you can't see. Contains about 150 books, and those are the books I read and made videos on. There's another bookcase over here full of books that are on all the New Age, New World Order books. The people writing about all the different societies and Council of Foreign Relation and people reporting evil in the CIA, FBI, and world organizations. Then over here I have a whole bookcase on the UFO and alien books. So I like to move around the different topics. But right now I'm focusing on these channeled material and associated books, trying to get a firm idea in my mind what this information is all about. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Miracle reporting.